if you clicked on this video, it's because you have an interest in Roger Waters' take on Dark Side of the Moon Redux. So, I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions, and you all know how much I absolutely love Pink Floyd. However, Dark Side is not my favorite album. So, today with me, I have my husband, Will, and my father-in-law, Bill.
My dad.
So, this is like a family event. Welcome. So, what we're going to do is we're going to listen track by track to Dark Side Redux, and we're going to just kind of share our thoughts. We can't actually play the tracks because, thanks YouTube, we're going to just share our impression of each track, what's different. I'm going to really rely on the people that really know the original album, and we're just going to have some fun. I just want to ask him, you okay, Roger Waters? He's not okay. Someone needs to go check on him. So before we start, I want to ask you guys a couple questions. When did you first hear Dark Side of the Moon? And how did you feel the first time you heard it? I'll ask you first.
Okay, it's a big answer.
Okay.
Okay, the song Money had come out, and it was popular on the radio. And I only knew of Pink Floyd from the movies. Every time they had a concert anywhere, they would film, and then you would go in the movies and you would watch it. I saw them in a European concert with lots of other people. Joe Cocker was there. That's how long ago that was. But anyway, I was working at a chicken place, and a guy came in, and he was holding the Dark Side of the Moon album. And I'm looking at, I said, hey, that's cool. And I said, I'll find it. He says, yeah, but the first time you hear it, you have to put headphones on. Headphones in those days was just like the big thing. If you had a stereo 8-track, if you had an 8-track cassette in your car, you could probably wire a headphone jack so you could hear it while you're driving. Mama wouldn't let me do that. So I'm sitting at home with my headphones on, and I'm listening and going, this is a good song, this is good. And then it goes to the one where I don't know the names of the tracks, but the one with the heart is thumping, something stopping, and I'm going. I was in a meditative state, and then when that started, it was just I sat up laughing. That's the thing it gave me deep, and I was like, I fell in love with the album ever since. I played it every chance I had.
So laughter was your...
Laughter. I was like, oh, this is good. And I just, like I said, every time you went to a party, if they didn't have these albums, they were not cool. You know?
I love that.
Wow.
There's divisions, probably still, but the jocks, the hippies, and the middle ground people. I was middle ground because I had to work. I had no time to party or anything like that. But the jocks didn't like that. The hippies loved it, you know? And I was middle ground. I said, let me watch this. And I liked it. I mean, it was good.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. How about you?
Okay, well, a much tamer version. I remember we were cleaning out the garage a very long time ago. Maybe I was 10, I don't know. And I remember finding a cassette version of it. And you used to have somewhere there a really old silver boombox stereo with a cassette.
Still there.
It's still there. And so I remember I played it, and Money was the one that played first. And I thought it was really cool that they turned the sound effects of a cash register into a song. And I thought that was just really cool. And I remember when we listened to it, you told me two things. First you said you got to be careful with that. They have some bad words on that album.
And it was a SHIT word, I'm sure.
Yeah, but then you also told me that that was the most popular track on the album, and that if you really like Pink Floyd, you like the whole thing. You don't just like that one track.
Because it's an experience.
Yeah, and so I don't know if I listened to the whole thing then, but I remember when I really, really got into it was when you taught me how to drive. And we would listen to it early in the morning, delivering newspapers.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, so when I learned how to drive, we would go at 4 o'clock in the morning or earlier and deliver newspapers where there's nobody on the road. But we had that on loop all the time. But what I love about the album, though, is that as I get older, I continue to discover different reasons why I like it.
I can say that because I'm always looking for something new every time I hear it. It's like, did I miss anything in the time, you know?
Yeah.
And they forget something too, because years go by and you do forget something. So.
Yeah.
And then for me also, like, the lyrics are it's strange how they stay the same but feel like they change to me. Like, I feel like the lyrics...
Because your experience changes.
Yeah, like the song Time, I understood it when I first heard it, but now I really understand it, I really get it, and it means a lot more.
I love that. All right, so I want to actually extend this question to all of you. Comment below the first time you ever heard the original Dark Side album and how it made you feel. All right, so what were your thoughts when you first heard that Roger Waters was revamping the album and releasing Redux?
I think it's cool that he did it because, I mean, if I wrote an album and 50 years later people still wanted me to do it the same way, I'd probably say, nah, you've heard that already. So I get it, but I'm not sure if his experience is anywhere near my experience, and I don't know if I'm going to relate.
Okay, all right. Okay, so again, I want to extend this question to you guys. Comment below, what was your initial reaction to hearing that this album was coming out? Let's dive into the tracks.
Shall we?
Yeah.
"20 minutes later."
So we're a quarter of the way through. It's not a Pink Floyd album.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's a Roger Waters album.
Yeah.
And so far, like, musically, I think that it's very lush and it's very textured in a very beautiful way. I really don't care for the tempo. I feel like it's not just a decision. Like, this is just my, decision, my opinion, but if I were playing this, I would think that this is dragging, this is going too slow, like, musically it doesn't feel right. I also really don't care for his dialogue over it. It's like super dark.
It is, and maybe that's why he slowed the tempo to give that more of an impression.
Yeah. I'd say though that the production quality is like top notch.
Yeah,
really
I would actually think that if we could listen to this in like Atmos, like Dolby Atmos, it would
that'd
probably
be
be
really cool.
very cool.
I'd still want it to go faster though.
Oh yeah.
An alpha one would have a problem with that.
I think Roger Waters might be the alpha that was like, all right, good, now I don't have to deal with anybody else. I can make this album the way I want.
Yeah, I would think so because definitely it's a good mix of emotions in that first album.
Exactly, yeah.
And he's not reaching it here, if I may say so.
Oh my god. He sounds like an evil wizard.
I didn't like that.
I was hoping that I was the only one that would say that, but I guess I was mistaken. I didn't really like it. It makes me want to go and put the other one in right away.
Yeah. I actually tried to limit how much exposure I had to it, but I had to do a little bit of research on it before doing this, and all the videos I saw, I didn't watch any, but they're not good reviews. And I was like, no, I'm going to go into this and I'm going to be positive because, I really like the idea of refreshing it, but it's just like, I feel like he's not in a good place emotionally. I'm worried about him.
No, it's like, I've always had this thing where if I really love, a band or let's say an IP in a movie or something, like I don't want to walk into it with a preconceived notion. And if I love the band, I want to give them every benefit of the doubt before walking in with a bad attitude.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's not fair.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when you see a movie and people say it's a bad movie, you're like, well, let me determine what I feel about that.
Yeah.
I give you, for instance, Kansas. I saw that group on your concert.
Carry on my wayward son.
I'm like, yeah, let's go see them. And we went in there, and they started with it, okay, but then they started doing their own little things and getting lost in the sound, and everybody was going like, boo, boo.
I don't, like I said earlier, I don't think that an artist should have to do the song exactly the same way for 50 years in a row. Like, that's not fair to say. Like, good example, like when we see Counting Crows, he rarely does a song exactly the way you heard it on the recording. Like, Mr. Jones sounds completely different.
Oh, yeah?
You know, gray, that's my favorite color. I get so confused every day, but if I knew Picasso, I would buy myself a great guitar and play Mr. Jones.
The feeling of the song still remains, even though it sounds different. He doesn't sound like he hates this song that people have made him play. Mm-hmm. I feel like Roger Waters hates this album but no one made him play it.
He was trying to reach a crowd that he thought probably his fans had become. Mm. And I think he was wrong.
I agree. I think that, and I mean, it's all conjecture, but I feel from listening to him, I feel like he's in a very bitter place, a very bitter, resentful place, and he almost wants to cover everybody who loves this album and wants to listen to it in that blanket.
3 hours later.
Now,
Come on, pick it up.
6 hours later.
Can you accelerate that?
I can.
What is that, 45 then?
Yeah, I like that.
Good time with that.
3 weeks later.
I think that's a great album cover, though.
It's a great album cover.
It's the eye of presumably his dog, and inside of it, he's holding up the original album inside the eyeball. It's reflected in the eyeball.
I didn't
of the
notice
dog.
that.
Yeah.
I just noticed. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a good cover, but this is a better cover.
If I had to say, my favorite track was Us and Them. That was the only track that retained the essence of Dark Side of the Moon and the essence of that song. It felt like the way I wanted. Like, it made me feel the way I wanted to feel. It put me in for that track. It put me in that moment of, oh, this is good. Let me absorb it. But that was the only time I felt that way. I really missed it. There was no electric guitar in the whole album.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but maybe that's part of the thing. Yeah, because I was waiting for something familiar all the time, and there were some musical moments and everything else, but the familiarity that you develop with something that you listen to a lot, it wasn't there.
The synthesizers weren't real. I guess there were maybe a few in this
There
one.
was a theremin. I liked that. I was right. It was a theremin.
But there was nothing. None of the things that, at least on this listen, that made the album innovative for the time were present.
Yeah.
I guess maybe the lyrics.
Yeah.
But even then, he added so much. And
the chord progressions were the same, but like you and I were trying to sing Eclipse, and like it was so slow. It was like painful to, like, I couldn't even sing it. Mm-hmm. I will say the one track, I agree with you about Us and Them, but I also really loved Any Color. Mm-hmm. That one never really stood out for me on the original album, but I actually it was like the bass and the quality of the mix and the production and just like the different instruments that were all layered in there. I really liked that. I didn't even mind his voiceover as much there. Like, it felt more like an artistic expression than a spiteful, I'm gonna ruin this for you, which is just how I feel like a lot of the rest of it was. I felt very alienated. Like, it wasn't for me, the listener, the original lover of Pink Floyd. It was really for him. I feel like, and that's fine, you know, I feel like he wrote himself an album. So that was an experience, and so thank you so much, Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will, for doing this. And Thank you for watching.
And I'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
Oh, yeah. And with that, if you liked this video, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.